I am 80 years old. This morning, I made coffee for two people who have spent 57 years together and still have nothing to say. I don't remember the exact moment I knew, but I knew. We met when I was 23. Everyone said we looked good together. We had the same friends. We laughed at the same things. On paper, it worked. I thought that was enough. We got married 2 years later. Small wedding. Her family. My family. A cake. Some dancing. I remember looking at her across the room and feeling okay. Not electric. Not uncertain. Just okay. I told myself that was maturity. The first year was fine. We had routines. We split the chores. We went to dinner on Fridays. We didn't fight much because we didn't talk much. I thought that meant we were easy together. I didn't realize silence could be a warning sign. By the third year, I started noticing small things. She'd talk about her day, and I'd realize halfway through that I wasn't listening. Not because I didn't care, I just didn't connect. Her concerns felt distant. Her excitements felt abstract. I never told her that. I thought it would pass. I thought all marriages had phases like this. I thought if I waited long enough, the connection would come. It didn't. We had kids, 2 of them. I loved them immediately, fiercely, completely. And for a while, that filled the space. We had something to focus on together, something to build. Parenthood gave us a shared project, but it didn't give us a shared life. The children made us partners. They didn't make us close. I remember one night, our youngest was maybe 5. We just put them to bed. We sat in the living room, and the silence stretched out between us like a held breath. She was reading. I was reading. The clock ticked. I thought, is this it? And then I thought, don't say that out loud. So I didn't. I think that's when I made the real choice. Not at the altar, not when we bought the house, but in that moment, when I chose peace over honesty. I chose it again the next night, and the night after that, for decades. There were patterns I didn't notice at first. Small things, the way she'd suggest a weekend trip and I'd feel dread instead of excitement. The way I'd come home with something I wanted to share and then decide it wasn't worth explaining. The way we'd go to parties and split up within minutes, orbiting different conversations, never looking for each other. I'd watch other couples sometimes, the ones who seemed to operate as a unit, who'd glance at each other across a room and smile for no reason, who finished each other's sentences not because they talked over each other, but because they actually knew what the other was thinking. We never had that. I told myself it didn't matter, that those couples were rare, that expecting that kind of connection was unrealistic. But I wanted it. There were moments I almost said something. One night, maybe 10 years in, we were driving home from dinner with friends. It had been a good evening. Easy. And in the car, there was this brief opening. This quiet moment where I could have said, "Do you ever feel like we're performing?" The words were right there. I looked at her. She was looking out the window, calm, unaware. And I thought, what would happen if I said it? Would she agree? Would she be hurt? Would it start something we couldn't stop? So I turned on the radio instead. She hummed along to the song. I drove. We got home. We went to bed. And the moment passed. That was the shape of our marriage. A long series of moments that passed. It happened more times than I can count. Little doorways I could have walked through, questions I could have asked, truths I could have spoken. I never did, because part of me believed that naming it would make it real, that as long as we didn't say it out loud, we could keep pretending. But it was already real. I started building a life around the gap. I found hobbies. I spent more time at work. I volunteered for projects that kept me busy, not because I was avoiding her, just because I needed something that felt like mine. She did the same. She joined groups. She traveled with friends. She filled her time. We gave each other space. We called it respect. Really, it was relief. The kids noticed, I think, not in any obvious way, but sometimes one of them would ask why we didn't do things together like their friends' parents did. I'd say we had different interests. That it was healthy to have independence. They'd nod. But I wonder what they really thought. I wonder if they'll choose differently. We never fought about big things. We just drifted in parallel. She had her life. I had mine. We occupied the same house, raised the same children, attended the same events. But we were alone together. I'm not saying she was a bad person. She wasn't. She was kind, responsible, a good mother. She did everything right. We just weren't right. People ask what that means. They want specifics. Was she cruel? Did she cheat? Did I? No, nothing like that. It was smaller. It was the way our rhythms never synced. The way I'd want to talk and she'd want quiet. The way her idea of a good weekend made me feel trapped. The way my need for solitude made her feel abandoned. Neither of us was wrong. We were just mismatched. And we both knew it. We never said it, but we knew. I think about the moments I could have spoken, the conversations I could have started. There were so many I didn't, because what would I have said? That I felt disconnected? That I wanted something different? That I'd made a mistake? All of that felt too cruel, too destructive, so I stayed quiet. I thought I was being noble. Really, I was being afraid. By my 40s, I stopped expecting it to change. I stopped waiting for some shift, some breakthrough. I accepted it. This was my life. This was my marriage. It wasn't what I'd imagined, but it was stable. It was safe. I told myself that was enough. The kids grew up. They left. And suddenly, it was just the two of us again. No buffer, no distraction. Just two people who'd spent 30 years not really knowing each other. We still don't fight. We're polite. We're considerate. We ask about each other's days. We share meals. But I couldn't tell you the last time I felt seen by her, or the last time I really saw her. We've become habits to each other. I think about the life I didn't live, not in some dramatic way. I don't imagine affairs or adventures. I just think about what it would have felt like to come home to someone I wanted to talk to. Someone who understood me without explanation. Someone whose presence didn't feel like a compromise. I think I would have been lighter. I don't blame her. This wasn't something she did to me. It was something we did together. We both made the choice to stay. Every day, for 57 years, we chose this. Maybe she feels the same way. Maybe she's been just as lonely. I don't know. We've never talked about it, even now. Sometimes I see younger couples and I want to tell them something. Not advice, just a truth. Compatibility isn't extra. It's not a luxury. It's not something you can build if it isn't there. You can have respect without connection. You can have stability without intimacy. You can have a whole life together and still be strangers. And if you ignore that gap when you're young, it doesn't close. It widens, slowly, quietly, until one day you're 80 and you realize you spent your entire adult life next to someone you never truly knew. I don't regret my children. I don't regret the stability. I don't even regret her, but I regret the silence. I regret the years I spent pretending comfort was the same as happiness. I regret not being brave enough to ask for more. This morning, I made coffee for two. We sat at the same table we've sat at for decades. We read the paper, we mentioned the weather, and I thought, we're still doing this. Not because we want to, not because we're connected, because we chose wrong once, and then we chose not to admit it. 80 years old, together, completely alone. That's the cost of silence.